Mary, do you want to tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Mary Schoon, and I'm a licensed realtor at Remax River Cities in Bettendorf, Iowa, licensed in Illinois and Iowa. I've been in this business for about 5 years now, and just really enjoying seeing how the market's going and being a realtor in the Quad Cities. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, and we can also find you at Boutique Homes QC, a part of Remax River Cities,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, of course. And so we have a team of agents there, and we have specialists in new construction, buying and selling, and then we also have transaction coordinators. So we have full service there as well.
Great. Let's kick off. That since you mentioned new construction, let's talk a little bit about new construction today.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is things still being really strong in that market. Right now, the struggle is to find land and really get those properties under contract. Land's really tough right now. It's really selling really fast. And so, especially in the Bettendorf, Pleasant Valley, LeClaire area. But with new construction, they're still able to work during this time. And so still kind of on that 6 to year time frame of getting houses done.
Sure. How is the planning going with the builders given the current time that we're in?
Really, things are kind of moving along just like they would. A lot of builders these days are using software that can kind of help with the building process. So a lot of the stuff you can do at home while you're sitting on the couch, like picking out siding, roof color, granite, tile, all of that can be done online these days. And so we're able to do a lot of that still virtually, which is nice. And then all our walkthroughs and everything's being done as well.
Sure. Speaking of virtual, can you talk about some of the tools that you guys are using today to show homes to potential buyers and show to potential sellers as well?
Yeah, so I might back that up a little bit to kind of go from the selling side first,
Yeah.
and then we can talk about the buying side. So really for the sellers, we're following all precautions that we can to get your house sold in a reasonable amount of time, but then also be safe for you and your family. The biggest thing that we're doing, and we implemented in all our listings, are virtual walkthroughs. So it's through a company called Matterport, and a camera comes in and actually takes a 3D tour. So it's almost like Google Earth of your home.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
yeah, it's really cool. And so we can do that and send that out to potential buyers first to make sure they are interested. They can do the virtual walkthrough. You can do dial house view of the home. You could do layout, floor plan. You can measure it out. So it's really helpful information for the buyer. So that's something we're doing for all our sellers. And then also, if they do want to see the home, we're making sure we're following all the precautions with wearing gloves, not touching anything, taking your shoes off. And we're also telling sellers to leave your cabinets and closets open so then people don't have to touch things if they don't have to. So they can take a look through it that way. But really, the use of technology has really allowed us to continue working through this time, just through having really great professional photos online, and then also with the 3D walkthroughs. And then we've also started to do YouTube virtual open houses, which is kind of fun.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
very
so
cool.
on the weekend, you don't have to leave your house. You can just go to our YouTube page that Remax is starting, and you could check out virtual open houses for all our listings as well. So it's just an agent going through and give you a little bit of more information about each home that's listed.
Oh, that's a really cool idea. I know on the banking side of things, technology is a deal breaker, especially in today's world. I've seen some of the starting the use of the 3D cameras and some of that when it comes to open houses, but also heard a lot of there's some expense behind that for sure. So it's always good to be ahead of the curve because again, you never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the use of technology from the buyer side as well?
Yeah, for sure. So with the buyer side, and you can probably speak a little bit too about how important it is to get that pre-approval done before you're starting to look. But once we have that pre-approval letter, and so we know you're a serious buyer, right now what we're doing is we're able to send you out everything electronically. So the listing paperwork, everything for what you're interested in. And what we've been doing is kind of going through that with buyers. And then if there are virtual tours, we do that first. And then if they are interested, we actually will go into the property and follow the CDC guidelines of how to look around to a house. The biggest thing they've implemented for buyers is we're not allowed more than 4 people in a house at one time. So, if you have little kids, we ask that they stay home right now, and just bring, mom and dad or whoever, just the essential buyers that we need to see the home. And then eventually, hopefully we can bring kids through later. But really the use of technology from the start is just sending you everything electronically. Once you're interested, we can do the offer everything electronically through DocuSign or Dotloop. And so you won't have to touch a piece of paper. We can just send that all to you through your email and sign the paperwork and kind of do a virtual meeting like this to go over what it looks like. I know first-time home buyers are a little scared sometimes to use that electronic paperwork, but we'd be more than happy. We go over everything with you and can answer those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So you covered up to everything until we get to the closing.
Yes.
And I know you guys have been closing on quite a few houses this spring, even in the current disruption that we have. Talk a little bit about what that closing process looks like from the realtor standpoint.
Yes, so I actually had one this morning, and it's very different.
Congrats.
So I'm not allowed to go into the closing, so I have to sit in my car and drink my coffee, but that's okay. What it looks like for us is we still do a final walkthrough. So that's always important because you want to make sure the property you're buying looks good. So we still do a final walkthrough, with the realtor and with the buyer, we'll do that. But then at the closing table, right now, it's just the essential players. So attorneys, lender, and then the buyers. So they ask that the realtors and then the sellers generally will not be there. And you sign everything then with your lender because that's the most important person. And then we'll be out in our cars waiting. And then after it's done, we can give you the big congratulations and thank yous and all that kind of stuff. But we're still able to close and everything on time. They have been asking for a little bit of an extended period. So usually they say a closing can be 30 to 45 days. But some lenders have been asking for a little bit more time. And so at Vibrant, have you guys set a timeline or time frame of what you're looking for?
Yeah, we're still in that 30 to 45 day range. The conventional market from a loan standpoint, it's still been very, very strong. Where the whole world has seen disruption is in the government lending side of things. However, we still do have a couple of investors that are still pretty strong on the government loans. So those FHA, VA, and USDA loans that are still seeing some pretty strong pricing. Where some of the restriction has happened is in the credit tiers, where credit scores unfortunately have gone up a little bit from those government products. But on the conventional side, we're still seeing approvals and able to get the loans funded, underwritten, closed in a pretty quick manner. So it's been a busy spring thus far for us as well. But it's pretty exciting to be a part of.
And I could ask you a quick question about, you said the credit score, and I know you're talking about the FHA credit score. Do you have an idea of where did that switch to, or what are the new regulations?
Yeah, so what we're seeing from a couple of the investors that we specifically work with, credit score requirements have gone up from up to about 680 is their minimum that they were accepting. Historically, these two particular lenders were accepting down to a 620.
Okay.
And of course, the FHA program as a whole, you can go substantially lower than that, but there are some pricing concessions at that point. But so we have seen an increase in that. Where that becomes really key is on the VA side of things. With the 100% financing, it's still available. The pricing's still really good. The credit scores do have to be a little bit stronger than maybe they would have had to have been 90 days ago.
Okay. And with that too, what we've been asking our buyers, they maybe got pre-approved before this hit. Yeah. And so we are asking them to go back, talk to their lender, make sure they're still approved. And if they did have a job change or got laid off or anything like that, maybe we start that conversation over about lending and is this the right time? We've definitely had those conversations with our buyers too.
Yeah, and it's always a good time, especially when we've seen such a change in the world and change in the financial markets, especially to go back and double check what that initial pre-approval looked like. We haven't seen this much movement since probably 2007, 2008. Yeah. Which we hope to never see it again. But it's always good to double check back in with your lender, check in on the pricing, check in on the payments, making sure that the program is still exactly what you need it to be. If not, take a look and look at what other options are out there. Another market, Mary, that's really taken a hit with some of the biggest banks in the country exiting has been the jumbo market. I don't know if you guys have seen any impact from the jumbo mortgage market.
We haven't, no.
Okay. That's one market that we've also seen some investors backing out of. Kind of the cool thing with Vibrant, we do have the ability to do some jumbo loans on our portfolio, which again is purely Vibrant's choice at that point. Other ways we can do it is by utilizing a conventional loan, a second mortgage, and then that down payment to still get that home that might be in the upper tier price range. So there are still ways to buy those bigger, more expensive houses, which we all like to do and see. And
I'd love to sell you one of those.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at this point. Good at this point. If we can survive working from home with kids, like I think our house is, like perfect size at this point.
I know. Thank goodness my husband and I have an office with doors that shut. So you can kind of, be away from everything. But but going back to, you kind of talked about some lending and stuff. The biggest question I'm getting right now is somebody maybe that was looking for a house and then they just got furloughed, or maybe, a reduced salary or things like that.
Sure.
What should they do if that happens to them and they're almost about to buy a house? And do you have any advice to that?
Yeah, I know some of the we always call them in the mortgage world, you had to do a quick verification of income prior to closing. Typically and traditionally, it's a formality in a normal world. And you do it, I believe, within 10 days of closing historically. Today, from what I've been reading and what I've been talking with our mortgage team, they're looking for that almost within a 24 to 48 hour time frame prior to.
Oh, wow.
We do know how quickly things are moving right now, and they are looking for that verification in a pretty tight time frame now, which unfortunately can make or break the ability to buy a house.
Okay, so basically, just kind of keep checking in with you if you're in that situation, and then you can let them know. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
And communication's the key, especially right now, making sure that the lender, the buyers, sellers, and realtors are all working in communication to make sure that everybody knows the status of jobs and house and all of those things.
And that's super important how you said communication. I know my team and at Remax, we've just said, increase that communication. Even if it's silly or you think you're over communicating, you can't right now. Just kind of keep the communication lines open for everybody. So that's good.
So Mary, is it a good time to sell a house today?
It is. It always is a good time to sell a house. But no, so what we've been seeing honestly in our market, and I know people have heard it nationwide, but our inventory is low and we have those buyers that are out there. And so right now, if you're a seller and you're thinking, it can't be a good time with everything going on, it is a seller's market right now. We've seen our inventory low just historically right now. We've seen houses sell with lower days on market because our inventory is lower. So right now is a really good time because there's less competition. And let's say if we all wait until this is over, then there's going to be a lot of inventory and a lot more competition out there. So it is a good time. If you are thinking about it and you're on the edge because of everything with COVID, have that conversation with a realtor and say, I'm concerned, or, what safety precautions are you following, and make sure they're doing everything they can to make sure your family is safe, and using technology, because we have it, we might as well use it to keep our sellers safe. A lot of people in this market try FSBO and then they're going to switch over to a realtor. I would say this is not maybe the right time to try it out.
Sure.
You want to make sure you have a full professional staff behind you in selling your house. And, that includes, the realtor, the licensed company, attorneys, the proper people doing inspections and all of that to help you out in this time. But it is a good time. Don't be scared. Don't wait till this is over, because then you're just going to have more competition out there as well.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Talk some numbers if you have them in front of you. What's the difference year over year? So Q1 2019 to Q1 2020. What's the real impact?
Yep. So I actually was just looking them up to see, and we have seen a decrease in homes sold. Sure. To be honest, we have seen it. It's about 700 less than in 2019, where we're at right now. And really what we attribute this to is we've noticed we don't have those buyers that are just out there looking for fun. And they're just saying, oh, I might, might be the year to buy a house. We don't have those. We have the serious buyers out there. And we do still see quite a fair bit of relocation happening in the Quad Cities. Military has shut down their relocation, unfortunately, until about May 11th. So that has hurt us a little bit. But we expect that to then ramp up again in the summer. So we are down, like I said, about 700 homes sold, but we know that it's going to turn and bounce back really quickly. Earlier, you kind of compared this to a 2008, 2007 situation. We've seen it on the housing side completely different. We don't have a surplus of homes. We're not, predatory lending is not a thing that we see happening. So we think it's going to be completely different, because it's not a housing crisis. It's a health crisis that we're going through. And then hopefully we're going to be able to bounce back from it. So really Q1 is going to be down, but we're hoping Q2, Q3, Q4, and so on are going to be high.
Sure. So Mary, anything else you want to tell the audience? Any other words of advice?
Well, I have a couple questions for you after this. So
okay, no, that's perfect.
Really, I think the easiest thing to say is just make sure you're smart and you're cautious. And if you are going to sell your home, follow those guidelines. It's very simple to wear a mask, wear gloves, don't touch anything if you're looking at a home. So if you are out there and you're a buyer and you're wondering, what can I do to make sure I'm safe? Just don't touch anything. You don't need to open the closet or ask the realtor that's there to open the closet for you. Just make sure you're following those guidelines, staying 6 feet apart from each other when you're looking at homes as much as you can, and do as much research online first before you go into the home. So I have a lot of buyers that want to look at 10, 15, 20 houses, even though they know they're not the right ones. Scale it back, look at your top 2, top 3, and then if you need to look at more, you can. But just use that technology, to your benefit. Look at the virtual open houses, look at all the pictures, research the assessor site, talk to your lender first, and do all that before you go into a home. And then you'll be safe and you'll be okay. We don't want people to be scared. The real estate market's a big part of the economy. And so we need to be out there spending money and, making sure it's the right time for everybody.
Yep. So. And I know I've seen some of the technology deliverables that you guys have and looked at some of your recent homes that you've sold and listed. And I mean, you can get a great feel for those houses through the new technology delivery as well. So it's a great way to start the home buying process today.
Yeah. And we started doing even fun little 2-minute videos for Facebook with drone shots and all of it. So you can really get a feel for that property and do drive-bys. It's okay to be in a car. And I even take my daughter with me sometimes, and we can go drive by, and that gives you a good feel for the community and the neighborhood as well. Yeah. So,
no, absolutely.
So the biggest question I had for you, I guess, is we preach to our buyers, get that pre-approval letter, get it. And they still, sometimes some buyers are like, well, I don't want to dig my credit. I don't know if I'm ready yet. I guess from you, why is it important to get that pre-approval letter first before you start looking?
Yeah, the pre-approval letter is so key. You can start to get those details from your lender and from your loan officer, as far as to what's my payment? What are the different things that go into a mortgage payment? Let's have a conversation about which may include taxes, insurance, maybe even PMI. So we understand how much money are we going to spend on a monthly basis? And then the other question, how much money do I have to put down as far as a down payment to buy a home? It's really important to understand the full financial impact before we send someone out to go shop. We don't want them shopping in the $1 million price range when they should be in the $150,000 price range. Because I think we all know we're going to walk away from the $1 million house and be like, hey, Mary,
Yeah.
And then we're going to go back and we're going to look at the monthly payment and maybe come back a little closer to our reality.
Okay. So yeah, so the biggest thing is really just so you know what you're looking for, right?
Absolutely.
And so you're not going to fall in love with the house with the basketball court inside, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That would be nice right now, though.
It would be really nice. I would love it. So